Thank you. Representative Stanton.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Representative Nunn, sounds like a good bill. Look forward to looking into that one. Thank you to our chair and ranking member for holding this important hearing. Thank you for the witnesses for being here today. Taiwan security is directly tied to stability in the broader Indo-Pacific and our own national security. Taiwan's importance to U.S. strategic interests is partly a matter of geography. Taiwan is at the center of a network of critical waterways and U.S. partners, and as the administration's national defense strategy makes clear, maintaining a strong denial defense along the first island chain is essential. Taiwan plays a vital role in that defense, and as the chairman has pointed out in his questions, Taiwan's importance is also economic. Produces approximately 60% of the world's semiconductor and manufactures some of the most cutting-edge chips necessary for everyday consumer devices and high-tech defense systems. Taiwan has brought these capabilities to the United States, supported by incentives from the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act. TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, has pledged to invest well over $165 billion in my home state of Arizona, the largest single foreign direct investment in U.S. history. They have already broken ground on 3 fabrication facilities poised to produce some of the most advanced chips in the world, chips that will drive century-defining technologies like artificial intelligence and help ensure that American defense systems remain the most advanced on planet Earth. The strong economic ties between our two nations have been a boon to Arizona's economy and to American national security, but preserving those ties requires a sound foreign policy. Chinese Communist Party has shown a growing willingness to use economic coercion, tactics like targeted tariffs, boycotts of Taiwanese goods, and tax investigations into Taiwanese companies to isolate Taiwan internationally. And the PRC's goals are global. Chairman Molinar led a congressional delegation to Latin America earlier this year, including to Guatemala, one of Taiwan's remaining diplomatic partners in the region. Guatemala has faced significant CCP economic coercion, including a ban on agricultural imports, following a call between the Guatemalan and Taiwanese presidents. Strengthening American economic ties with Taiwan and helping Taiwan diversify its economic relationships in Asia, Latin America, and around the world is one of the most effective tools we have to counter this coercion. Dr. Hooper, how exposed is Taiwan to PRC economic coercion, and to what extent are Taiwan, the United States, and U.S. allies prepared for any escalation of PRC coercion scenarios?
Thank you very much, Congressman. Taiwan is extremely exposed to threats of economic coercion, as you indicate, threats of diplomatic coercion, that is, ongoing threats to try to pick off Taiwan's remaining allies, and these two things often go together. The PRC will often try to turn Taiwan's diplomatic allies through threats of economic coercion or threats of economic inducement. And we've seen that both in Latin America and in the Pacific Islands playing out in a very systematic way. While I think it is extremely fair to assume, as I've written in my testimony, that Taiwan will face continued campaigns that include economic coercion, in particular during its election cycles, we are not nearly as prepared as we could be or should be to help Taiwan weather that coercion. I'll say, both as an academic and as a former public servant, that it is very hard to develop counter-economic coercion strategies in advance. But nonetheless, one thing we can do more of and better is something that I indicated in response to an earlier question from Congressman Nunn, and that is to identify the key sectors in which Taiwan is likely to be targeted in future PRC economic coercion campaigns. I've named a few of them, including its fisheries sector, agricultural sector, and construction supplies, and do the work now to find the markets that could absorb Taiwan's products if and when that PRC pressure does come. I think it's very fair to assume we may see some of it in the 2026 local election cycle, and a fair bet that we'll see a whole lot of it in the 2028 election cycle in Taiwan. So preparation now is key.
Thanks so much. If we're serious about deterring conflict, as you noted, we need to be serious about countering coercion. That brings me to a broader point. I've been encouraged by the recent U.S. support for Taiwan's defense, including the recent $11.1 billion arms package, but we need to recognize that deterrence is not just about a weapons system, it's also about clarity, consistency, and credibility in American policy towards Taiwan. The PRC is watching every signal we send. That's why I was disappointed that in a recent interview, President Trump suggested that Taiwan's status is ultimately up to Xi Jinping and brushed off China's growing gray zone activities, saying Beijing has conducted naval exercises in the region for many years. That kind of ambiguity can be very dangerous. The President Trump's recent foreign policy actions in Latin America have fueled speculation about the emergence of a world structured around spheres of influence, one in which the United States would seek to assert predominance in the Western Hemisphere while leaving the PRC to consolidate power in East Asia. And so the question for Dr. Rapp-Hooper, last one, is how do you believe Xi Jinping is interpreting the President's recent, quote, spheres of influence framing in the so-called Donroe doctrine? How does that impact Taiwan?
I can't speak to Xi Jinping's personal interpretation. I can say that, as you're indicating, Congressman, it is incredibly important that no one in the Chinese government or anyone around the world interpret the United States as in any way drawing down or making compromises to our position in Asia. It is perfectly possible for us to place a strong emphasis on security and stability in the Western Hemisphere while maintaining and indeed increasing our commitments within the First Island chain, as you have indicated that we need to do. The NDAA is indeed a step in the right direction on many of these fronts, but frankly, when allies, whether in Taiwan or in other capitals, look at the next few years, they don't just want to see stability in our commitments, in our force posture, and our force structure, they want to see increases. And for us to be able to meet and match the challenges posed by the PRC, we need to keep ourselves on that steady upward trajectory. So what I would suggest is necessary to disabuse whatever interpretation Xi Jinping might have is a clear set of signals from Congress and the administration that that steady upward trajectory not only is continuing, but cannot be interrupted by negotiations with the PRC. Thank you.